Hi, I'm Carolyn Morris, the owner and designer of Rays of Hope Quilts. Several years ago, I put together my pattern for Rays of Hope, which is this design. And after a while, I got to experimenting with another way to make it, and I came up with the stained glass version using graduated batiks so that you got the dark moving to the light. However, and several people really liked this one and wanted me to make a pattern for this one, but it's a little bit more complicated to explain in written form like the original was done. So I decided to put together a DVD video for you to watch how it's done and for you to have to be able to reference and go back and forth to. You would still purchase this pattern on my Etsy site, but you would follow the instructions that come with the DVD that's with it. So let's get started and I'll show you how the drawing goes. Okay, here we have the pattern that you draw on your pellon, and the pellon that you'll use is just a lightweight pellon. You do not want a fusible pellon, you want just a lightweight pellon. And you will draw the pattern. You can see the whole thing here. We're going to concentrate on one section of it. It's divided in the original pattern in 8 sections. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But in drawing the stained glass version, you will only be putting these two together, putting 1 and 2 together, putting 3 and 4 together, putting 5 and 6 together, and 7 and 8 together, and you will draw it as one piece as opposed to 2 pieces. And you will do that, and I'll show you how you do that. First of all, the solid lines are the lines that you will actually draw. The dotted lines, you can draw them in because that's where you will cut. That's where you will be overlapping your cross onto this piece when you get it done, and that's where you'll be overlapping the sections when you join them together. So the dotted lines are important and you need to draw those in. So let me put the pellon over here and show you how we'll draw that. This pellon, and this is the small quilt that I'm making, the 19 by 27 inches, and you can, if you make it in the larger version, you simply enlarge it at a printer, and the instructions for doing that are already in the pattern. Now, the first part that you would do, we're going to draw 1 and 2 right now, and you would just line your ruler up, and I like to use a Sharpie pen with the fine point. The fat point is almost too fat. You can use it, but you want to make sure you have a good one that makes a nice solid line. Some people have tried to use ballpoint pens and they don't show up well enough when you turn it over on the back to sew on it. So you need to use a nice good black pen with the permanent ink so that it doesn't run. So you draw that line, which is the solid line, and then you draw this line down to where it starts to curve a little bit, and draw that curve. You will not draw this curved line because you're doing the stained glass version. If you were doing the original version, then you would draw that line. So then what you do, you shift the pellon. In fact, you can go ahead and shift the pellon so that the straight line right here matches up with the straight line on the lower piece. And don't worry about where it comes up here. Just make sure when you put your ruler on it that that straight matches up with the straight line on the second section. And then you continue drawing that line down to where it starts to curve. Then you come over to this other piece where that line has lined up with this section, and you finish drawing. And if they're a little bit off, it's okay because you're going to make it all in one piece. Then you can come down and draw your outside lines so that you know how far to put your fabric. Draw that one. And it's nice to have a nice fresh Sharpie to work with so that it shows through well on the back. Okay, and you get your next line here, and then your little bit of a line there, because this is where your cross is going to overlap everything. Now you've got your square basically drawn. You can see that square. Take it back up to where it was at the front. Now you're going to draw your rays, but you're only going to use the rays in the top section. Don't worry about the rays in the bottom section that are showing through. Ignore them. And just take the first line and you draw it clear through to the bottom of the other section, using only the line that's there, and use your ruler to make the straight line so that your rays are straight all the way down. And just ignore once again the rays that are in that bottom section, because now you're making them in one piece. And this is why I thought it was easier to show you so that you would not get confused. It is very easy to get confused when you look at those lines in the bottom section and say, but they don't match up. They would if you were cutting them in the two pieces and putting the two pieces together. But because there is separation there, they look like they don't match, but they do. And following these lines will make everything make rays that come out from the center of the cross, so that after you get all your pieces joined up together, your rays are all equal distance in the different quadrants, and it makes it look very even. So I'll finish drawing this one so that you can then see it when it's complete without the pattern behind it, because it'll look a lot different without the pattern behind it. And then you'll be able to see it. I also number these because your fabric colors need to be mirror images in each quadrant. And so you need to number them, but you need to number them out in the back. So I'm going to take the pattern out from underneath the back now so that you can see it without the pattern behind it. Now you can see it makes a nice section, but now you want to put your numbers in so that you know what color to put in each ray. And this section is 3A. And the A will make a difference because in some of the sections you'll have more than one 3. And I sew from left to right. And so I've got things numbered that way as far as the ones and the twos. So then this will be color number 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, and 3B. That would be this section. Each section is slightly different, so you'll need to look at the numbers on the outside section, on this section, to get the numbers for each ray, because each section has a different number of rays in it, and 1, 2, and 3 repeat over and over again. So when you draw the rest of the sections, be sure you look at the numbers here, and I put them on the outside here, and then that way your numbering does not show through your fabric once you've sewn it together. Okay, we'll stop and I will let you do that, and then I'll take you to the next step. Okay, now you can see I added these dotted lines here, and this is where your fabric will be trimmed after you get all the rays done. This will be the finish line, so you want to be sure your fabric covers up the solid line and goes out to this dotted line. This dotted line will be the overlap where the cross will overlap to join the sections together. Now I've gone ahead and drawn sections P3 and P4 and put them together. This is section P1 and P2. And the reason they're numbered P's is pellon, the pellon base to draw it on. I've had to name it something, and that's just what I came up with. Now I'm going to number this one for you because you'll see as I number this one, the numbering is going to be slightly different than this one. And I wanted you to see that in action. And I used the numbers from the bottom section of the two pieces to get the numbering. And this one is 1A, this one is 2A, this is 3A, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 3B, 2B, 1B, and 2C. Now, I'll explain this to you. And see the picture here. Well, you can't see the picture of the thing, but look at the cover of your pattern, and you'll see that the colors make mirror images. So you've got one here, both 2's on this side, both 3's on this side, and then 14 and 14 here. And that's so that they will look like they're mirror images. And they go around then in sequential order until you get back to 3. And whenever you get to 14, the next number is always going to be a 3. So this is what your pattern will look like when you get all three. You'll have all 4 sections, and they will look like this. It'll be the other 2 sections over there. And if you need to refresher on how to draw those, just go back to when we drew this one and see how that was done, and repeat that 4 times until you have all 4 of these sections. Be sure they do not overlap. The other thing I want to point out is you'll see that this straight line, and on the pattern there's a straight line right there, and there's no dotted line next to it. And right next to it is the dotted line. The reason that is that way is because this piece will overlap this piece. You will need to leave extra fabric on both of those sections so that if you have to make any adjustments in putting it together, you've got enough fabric to cover.